Samsy. Story time with Ronnie. Oh boy, looks like we got a good one today. It's another one of those in the toad videos. Today, the story, The Time Machine, Part 10. We're rolling right along here. Oh, how about this drive? Well, we're gonna take a little scooty ride from the mountains down into Greer. We're gonna descent into madness. Greer. And the madness part will be this Jeep view where we're rolling through McNary up on the res. Now, this story. Now, where we left this sucker off, we were, the time traveler was just escaping from down below. He had gone down below to follow the white ape-black creatures, and he was attacked, and he barely got out. So we'll pick it up on the last little bit of him climbing out of there. That climb seemed interminable to me. With the last 20 or 30 feet of it, a deadly nausea came upon me. I had the greatest difficulty in keeping my hold. The last few yards was a frightful struggle against the faintness. Several times my head swam, and I felt all the sensations of falling. At last, however, I got over the well mouth somehow, and staggered out of the ruin into the blinding sunlight. I fell upon my face. Even the soil smelt sweet and clean. Then I remember Weena kissing my hands and ears, and the voices of others among the Eloi. Then, for a time, I was insensible. Whew. All right, that's the end of Chapter 6. Let's move on to Chapter 7. Anybody need to know anything about this ride? Oh, hey, Doppler.
Hey.
What's going on, buddy?
Not too much.
Oh, you just stopping in to check things out, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Nah, oh, okay. Oh, can you wait?
Yeah, sure. It's kind of important.
Well, yeah, just, chill out for a bit. I'll read some of the story, and then we'll catch up with you, okay? Okay. So, Chapter 7 now. Now, indeed, I seemed in a worse case than before. Hitherto, except during my night's anguish at the loss of the time machine, I had felt a sustaining hope of ultimate escape. But that hope was staggered by these new discoveries. Hitherto, I had merely thought myself impeded by the childish simplicity of the little people, and by some unknown forces which I had only to understand to overcome. But there was an altogether new element in the sickening quality of the Morlocks, something inhuman and malign. Instinctively I loathed them. Before I had felt as a man might feel who had fallen into a pit. My concern was with the pit and how to get out of it. Now I felt like a beast in a trap, whose enemy could come upon him soon. The enemy I dreaded may surprise you. It was the darkness of the new moon. Weena had put this in my head by some at first incomprehensible remarks about the dark nights. It was not such a very difficult problem to guess what the coming dark nights might mean. The moon was on the wane. Each night there was a longer interval of darkness, and now I understood to some slight degree, at least, the reason of the fear of the little upper world people for the dark. I wondered vaguely what foul villainy it might be that the Morlocks did under the new moon. I felt pretty sure now that my second hypothesis was all wrong. The upper world people might once have been the favorite aristocracy, and the Morlocks there mechanical servants, but that had long since passed away. The two species that had resulted from the evolution of man were sliding down towards, or had already arrived at, an altogether new relationship. The Eloi, like the Carlovingian kings, had decayed to a mere beautiful futility. They still possess the earth on surface, since the Morlocks, subterranean, for innumerable generations, had come at last to find the day-lit surface intolerable, and the Morlocks made their garments, I inferred, and maintained them in their habitual needs, perhaps through the survival of an old habit of service. They did it as a standing horse paws with his foot, or as a man enjoys killing animals in sport, because ancient and departed necessities had impressed it on the organism. But clearly, the old order was already in part reversed. The nemesis of the delicate ones was creeping on apace. Ages ago, thousands of generations ago, man had thrust his brother out of the ease and the sunshine, and now that brother was coming back, changed. Already the Eloi had begun to learn one old lesson anew. They were becoming reacquainted with fear. And suddenly there came into my head the memory of the meat I had seen in the underworld. It seemed odd how it floated into my mind, not stirred up, as it were, by the current of my mediations, but coming in almost like a question from outside. I tried to recall the form of it. I had a vague sense of something familiar, but I could not tell what it was at the time. Still, however helpless the little people in the presence of their mysterious fear, I was differently constituted. I came out of this age of ours, this ripe prime of human race, when fear does not paralyze and mystery has lost its terrors. I at least would defend myself. Without further delay, I determined to make myself arms and a fastness where I might sleep. With that refuge as a base, I would face this strange world with some of that confidence I had lost in realizing to what creatures, night by night, I lay exposed. I felt I could not sleep again until my bed was secure from them. I shuddered with horror to think how they must already have examined me. I wandered during the afternoon along the valley of the Thames, but found nothing that commended itself to my mind as inaccessible. All the buildings and trees seemed easily accessible to such dexterous climbers as the Morlocks, to judge by their wells must be. Then the tall pinnacles of the palace of green porcelain and the polished gleam of its walls came back to my memory, and in the evening, taking Weena like a child upon my shoulder, I went up the hills toward the southwest. The distance I had reckoned was 7 or 8 miles, but it must have been near 18. I had first seen the place on a moist afternoon when distances are deceptively diminished. In addition, the heel of one of my shoes was loose, and a nail was working through my sole. They were comfortable old shoes I wore about indoors, so that I was lame. And it was already long past sunset when I came in sight of the palace, silhouetted black against the pale yellow of the sky. Weena had been hugely delighted when I began to carry her, but after a while she desired to let me to let her down and ran along by the side of me, occasionally darting off on either hand to pick flowers to stick in my pockets. My pockets had always puzzled Weena, but at the last she had concluded that they were an eccentric kind of vase for floral decoration. At least she utilized them for that purpose. And that reminds me, in changing my jacket, I found, the time traveler paused, put his hand into his pocket, and silently placed 2 withered flowers, not unlike very large white mallows, upon the little table. Then he resumed his narrative. As the hush of the evening crept over the world, and we proceeded over the hill crest towards Wimbledon, Weena grew tired and wanted to return to the house of Greystone. But I pointed out the distant pinnacles of the palace of green porcelain to her, and contrived to make her understand that we were seeking a refuge there from her fear. You know, that great pause that comes upon things before the dusk? Even the breeze stops in the trees. To me, there is always an air of expectation about that evening stillness. The sky was clear, remote, and empty save for a few horizontal bars far down on the sunset. Well, that night the expectation took the color of my fears. In that darkening calm, my senses seemed preternaturally sharpened. I fancied I could even feel the hollowness of the ground beneath my feet, could indeed almost see through it the Morlocks on their ant-hill, going hither and thither and waiting for the dark. In my excitement, I fancied that they would receive my invasion of their burrows as a declaration of war, and why they had taken my time machine. Oh, no, hang on a second here. And why had they taken my time machine? So we went on in the quiet, and the twilight deepened into night. The clear blue of the distance faded, and one star after another came out. The ground grew dim, and the trees black. Weena's fears and her fatigue grew upon her. I took her up in my arms and talked to her and caressed her. Then, as the darkness grew deeper, she put her arms around my neck, closing her eyes tightly, pressed her face against my shoulder. So we went down a long slope into a valley, and there, in the dimness, I almost walked into a little river. This I waded and went up the opposite side of the valley, past a number of sleeping houses, and by a statue, a faun, or some such figure, minus the head. Here, too, were acacias. So far I had seen nothing of the Morlocks, but it was yet early in the night, and the darker hours before the old moon rose were still to come. From the brow of the next hill I saw a thick wood spreading wide and black. Oh, wait a second. I'm hearing some music here. That means Doppler's coming back, and he was pretty insistent that we had to do something to talk about. So let's just see if we can find what's going on here. Hey, Doppler, you out there, buddy?
Oh, hey, Samsy. Hey, I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to, tell you that I kind of met an old friend of mine. And, when I say old friend, I mean like really, 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 really old. And, I was surprised to see her. And we kind of got to talking about you. And, yeah, we're going to have to talk some more, I think. I think you got a part in all this. And I'm going to have to bring Fred and Ethel in now, if that's okay. Hey, guys. Are you guys out there? Okay. Hey, Fred. Hey, Ethel. It's really good to see you. I'm so glad you guys came. Look, we gotta get you guys to go over to the Time Canyon. I opened up a Time Canyon there. Your kids know all about it. They'll bring you up to speed.
Who was that guy? I think he might have us confused with somebody else.
Oh, quit being silly, Fred. We'll talk to the kids and we'll get this thing figured out. Right now, let's just watch the movie.
Well, what's playing?
Well, it's the Greer Descent. Oh, this is such a good little scooter movie. Alright, I'm gonna watch this little scooter movie. Simpson, you go right ahead now and finish up your story.
Okay, guys, I'm not too sure what that Doppler was talking about there, but I guess we'll get it figured out. So let's get back to this story now. So far I had seen nothing of the Morlocks, but it was yet early in the night, and the darker hours before the old moon rose were still to come. From the brow of the next hill, I saw a thick wood spreading wide and black before me. I hesitated at this. I could see no end to it. Okay, let's call it right there, guys. Thanks so much for coming along. Sam, C, and we'll leave you with Big Rosie. Hey, Big Rosie.